All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, we'll be talking about security and some of the matters here this morning. As you may have seen, we're joined by Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua. He is the chairman, Senate Committee on Army, and also the new chairman, Northern Senators Forum. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
So, having emerged as the chairman, Northern Senators Forum, considering how the whole scenario, what transpired before your emergence, what you're thinking about how you are going to approach that new role?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. First and foremost, this forum, the Northern Senators Forum, was established, to promote the unity of Nigeria. And I think that is how I'm going to approach, this new role that I'm going to play. And I tell you that we are going to work with the leaders of the Southern Senators Forum to ensure that we promote this unity and we try to bridge the gap as well as, strengthen the diversity that exists between us as Nigerians. And I tell you that in the Senate, we work as a family, especially when the Senate President, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio, when he was elected, one of the first principles, he put into our minds was that, the moment you enter the chamber, you are no longer, senator from your own senatorial zone, but you are a senator of the Federal Republic. And I think that is how we work in the Senate. So as a family, I think most importantly, we must promote first and foremost the unity of this nation, strengthen the diversity. As you know, these are some of the issues, bedeviling the nation. And the whole essence is to look at the challenges the North is facing, work with our colleagues from the South so that they can help us, pass whatever we want that will promote the development of the North. And by extension, we also cooperate with the executive arm of government because you have to lobby in democracy. And that is the whole essence so that we get things done. I'm aware, as you are, the most important challenge today, not only in the North, but also in all other parts of the nation, is the issue of security. Yeah. So we have to work as a Senate to ensure that this issue of security is brought to the barest minimum, so that development can take place in the country. I want to mention that we must understand that Nigeria is at war. We are at war with bandits. We are at war with Boko Haram. And internal security or internal security operations, as you know, are ongoing in basically 35 states and the FCT by the army. So basically Nigeria is at war with bandits, kidnappers, as well as other criminal elements. So it is important for the country to know that we need to shift our attention very well on security.
So, as chairman Senate Committee on the Army, having served in the Army yourself, so there's a lot of perspectives that you will have on this matter. How do you relate, especially probably when lots of people keep wondering or keep thinking security agencies, if they're not doing enough or need to do more, and then the recent commentary from the executive saying no ransom payments, that the army needs to go in there and do a job?
Well, let me take us back to history a little bit. You see, first we have to understand the landmass of this nation. We have almost 1 million square kilometers of landmass. We have to also take into consideration, I'm happy my elder brother, distinguished Senator Undume, I think was here recently in one of the interviews he had. He did mention, the issue of the strength of the military we have and other security agencies that if you put all of them together, they are not up to 1 million. In a country of 220 million, people. So first of all, we have to understand we have a problem of the strength of the military and the police and other security agencies that we have, that they cannot really police and secure this nation. We must understand that, and I know the President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is working on the need, to recruit more military, more police, so that at least we do as much as possible to deal with the insecurity situation.
But Senator, pardon me to jump in. Is it about us recruiting? Because if we recruit as the security architecture is presently constituted, there might just be marginal difference. Isn't it also about us considering redesigning the security architecture of the country?
Yes, of course, we have to redesign the security architecture. I agree. But you see, this type of insurgency that we are fighting, you really need a lot of the strength of the army and that of the police and the other military agencies must be increased. First of all, you know that the number of forests we have in Nigeria where these criminals have enclaves are up to almost 100 different forest reserves in the country. If you look at the Northwest, the latest statistics we had, from civil society and some security experts, was that we have over 30,000, bandits and kidnappers, and they have over 100, enclaves spread all across. So you look at it that the strength of the army that we have cannot really move in, because when you move from Katsina State, for example, you try to route them out, they move into Zamfara State. From Zamfara, if you try anything, they move to Kebbi, they move up to Kaduna and Niger. So what the security agencies are doing, especially the army, is to try to conduct a holistic operations to see how they can be routed out. But you see, one of the challenges is that it's not, we always concentrate on the kinetic. The non-kinetic approach is very, very important. And I think that is what this government is trying to do, especially with the current Ruga approach that they want to use in ensuring that they get to the grassroots to provide social services. Because the whole essence is we do not have development at the grassroots. And where these bandits go to recruit is at the grassroots, in the rural areas.
How is Ruga going to solve that?
Well, you see, it will help in ensuring that those basic needs that are required at the grassroots are provided.
Isn't that what governors and local governments are all there for? If you strengthen that level of governance...
Of course, it is in collaboration with them. It is in collaboration with the governors. The most important thing we must know is the local governments are not working, you know that. So we have to work, especially in this 10th Assembly, to ensure that, the local governments get their autonomy. If they do, I believe the level of security we are going to have will increase. So I think, on the whole, we have to look at the deficit we have in terms of the strength of the security forces. And also, like you said, the security architecture must be improved by bringing in the traditional institutions. They have been left behind, and we know how organized they are in terms of their own security architecture. Bringing them under the local government has made the traditional institutions, to be, quiet. And if you go to the grassroots, you'll discover that if you have a personnel of the Department of Security Service, you see maybe only one person covers about 2 to 3 local governments in terms of gathering intelligence. But if you look at the traditional institution, if you have even a house in a village, or 2 or 3 houses, the emir has what we call a ward head and other village heads, district heads, but, that have intelligence that flows through up to the emir.
But Senator, what would you say to those who think, yes, they hear the point that you're trying to make, but if, for instance, they address some of the narratives out there that they need to, first of all, deal with informants who are within the army, and then deal with those who, for instance, you're about to go on operations. We heard several times the army ambushed. This is intel that leaks from somewhere. So if those issues are addressed, and then we approach this with coordination within the security agencies themselves, will achieve way much more than we're achieving now, to the extent that probably some of these issues may not even be high up there.
Yeah, you are right. But I tell you, recently, I'm sure you've heard of the successes that the army has been having in terms of killing a lot of the bandit leaders. This is as a result of the intelligence. I sponsored a motion on the floor of the Senate some months ago, in respect of the need for the security agencies to improve on their synergy, because we discovered that the coordination among the security agencies was not as it should be. And that was what led to us inviting the head of the security agencies in the country, to hear from them and to hear their challenges and to encourage them, to encourage them to have that synergy and coordination, so that intelligence can flow from all of them. And if there's any operation that will be conducted, everybody will know. I can give you an example of the Tudumbiri and some other incidences.
Yeah.
You discover some of the security agencies will tell you they are not aware, and which is not good for the nation. And that is where the issue of the tinkering of the security architecture, comes in.
Indeed, I mean, you just talked about Tudumbiri, and we also remember the accident that occurred last year, where the military accidentally dropped the bomb on the community, which was not their intention. And turns out, I mean, the Air Force was very quick to say it wasn't them. Turns out that it's the, the air capabilities within the Nigerian army. And people have asked questions as to why the Nigerian army will have its own, like having your own Air Force within the army. I do not know if it's something that, you want to speak to. But let's go back to the very beginning, where you talked about the Northern Senators Forum, which you now chair, and you say it is to also foster unity, among senators. This Senate has always worked as a family. And I'm just wondering whether working as a family means that we continue to break into caucuses that, seem to strengthen or reinforce regional ties, like the Northern Senators Forum, the Southern Senators Forum. And some people are wondering, is this really necessary? I mean, if it was around political parties, they can understand, but around regional ties, does that really foster unity, or does it cause even more divisions?
I don't think it causes more divisions, because you see, for example, both forums, we have different parties. It's not only APC, you have PDP, NNPP, and so on and so forth. That fosters more unity, to my mind. And the whole essence is you have to have someone to champion some of the challenges, both the North and the South are facing. For example, if we come together, the challenges I'm facing from my own senatorial district could be brought within the forum. And we look at it as a whole. Some other person from maybe Plateau, Kwara, when they bring their own, we look at the similarities of this, so that we don't keep, bringing motions one after the other in the Senate. So the essence is to collate such, challenges, look at those that are similar, deal with them as they are, and then approach our colleagues and say, hey, look, do you have things similar to this? If they do, then we champion that within the Senate, so that we see what we can do, as senators, to push it forward.
Yeah, because some of the outcomes of some of what we're seeing now I think the Senate has also proposed the establishment of a Northwest Development Commission. And people are wondering, oh, hold on. We saw the debate and how it went, because people from the Southeast were saying, oh, we proposed one, I think, in the night Senate, and it was kicked out. And I think other senators said no. It was brought from the House of Representatives, and that it does appear that the 10th Senate is going to concur with it. But looking at how there's now a proliferation of development commissions, people are wondering, isn't it defeating the purpose? The whole country might as well have a development commission at this rate.
Yes, we are thinking about that. But you see, the challenges that both regions are facing is what necessitated this. And you can see some of the challenges are not being able to be solved by some of the governors within this region. So if you look at what happened in the Northeast, for example, you really needed a commission to, to step in. The same thing was done with the NDDC commission, and I can tell you that all the commissions now were thinking of having, like you said, an umbrella, so that eventually they get subsumed into one national commission, development commission, like you suggested. We're also thinking about that. But the challenges necessitated the need to have these commissions. Look at the devastation in the Northwest now, for example. The number of IDPs we have, the number of widows, out of school children, the devastation, thousands of villages have been sacked as I speak to you. In my senatorial district, some of the roads are not passable.
I'm not downplaying the problems, distinguished, but I do know that that's the reason, as my colleague has highlighted, we have local governments, we have state governments, and even some federal presence in those areas. So to now establish another commission just for the development, we might as well have a development commission all over the country.
Yes, but I just told you now, we all agree the local governments are not working, you know that. And it's one arm of government that we've been talking about it, the need to have autonomy of the local governments. And that is something that the 10th Senate is taking on. Like I said, all developments, both state and national, goes to the grassroots, which is the local government. So if the local governments are, given independence, you will discover that even the issue of security will become, much less than what we have today.
Let me quickly take it to security, since we're going there already. You already spoke to, what the military is doing and what government is doing, but, people will be wondering if, excuse me, we are really, taking this issue of security very seriously, especially with regards to vulnerable targets like schools. This is not the first time that a school is being attacked, especially in the northern region of Nigeria. Since Chibok was attacked 10 years ago till about now, we've had at least 10 schools, at the minimum, 10 school kidnappings. So there'll be questions as to, have we really paid attention? Have we really been able to say no more? And really it has been no more with regards to schools, especially with the initiatives that we've come up with, Safe Schools Initiative, and even directives given to security agencies on maybe training teachers and a number of other people within schools to be first responders, or on what to do in the event of such an attack.
Well, I tell you, first of all, you should know, we've been in this insurgency for 14 years. And you can see that, first of all, the army is overstretched. And secondly, this has undermined the capacity of the police, because all we are talking about is the duty of the police to do. So it has undermined the capacity of the police. And like you mentioned, all these trainings, I don't think they are going on now of having the teachers to do this. And we can't say that in every school we have in Nigeria, you have to have some sort of security agencies. We just don't have them. So, like you said, the issue is about the citizens themselves, understanding that they are also part of this security arrangement. And this has gone on for a long time. The Nigerian citizens don't look at it that way. And we need to start advocating of the need, when you see something, you say something. Rather than taking, some videos and start putting them to trend. Rather, you should be calling the police. The numbers are out there, and it's a very big problem, but I think as we move on, the security will improve. And the most important thing, like I said, is to see how these bandits can be routed out of the, of the forest that we have. Because when they come to, carry out their operations, they have informants within.
Senator,
and like in my state and other states.
Senator, just 1 second, if you don't mind me butting in, I sincerely apologize. Senator, if you can hear me, I like the way you started what you were telling my colleagues, saying that the president of the Senate told you and everyone that so long as you are a senator of the Federal Republic, you're working for Nigeria, not just for your state. Yet, you are from states. Every member of the Senate is one of 3 people selected by their people to work for them in the Senate. And when you say that we all know that the local governments are not working, you are right. But then why are the local governments not working? Is it because the Constitution disallows them from working? Because they worked in the First Republic, they worked in the Second Republic, they worked in the Third Republic very, very actively. Why are the local governments not working? Is it a problem with the Constitution? Is it that the Constitution says that whatever it is that they have to go through? Why are the local governments not working? Because as you also rightly said, that is the first line of defense against insecurity in the country. Many people have said that, and you have also affirmed that if the local governments were working, it will probably not be as bad as it is now. Why, in your opinion, are the local governments not working as they should? Is it a problem with the Constitution?
Well, I think if the Constitution is amended to make them autonomous, which an attempt was made, I think, at the 9th Assembly, the biggest issue, I think, is the issue of the constitutional amendment that has to go through the states. I understand that when in the 9th Assembly, when the bill got to the states, I think about only 5 or 6 states were able to pass the bill. So I think the major challenge is probably, we could say, the governors of the various states that we have in Nigeria, I think need to look at that as their challenge and the need for them to actually, loosen up a little bit to allow the, local governments to survive. So I think it is an issue that has to do, in my opinion, with the governors that we have. And, I think most importantly, they need to look at the issues at hand today and the need for them, to allow the local governments to function. And it will be to their advantage if they do that.
Okay, well, it's a long-standing conversation, Senator, and this has gone on for so long. President after president, governor after governor, all of these issues have come up over and over again. All they're supposed to do is to channel the money to the local government through the joint account with the states, and not just for the money to have any bust up at any point. But perhaps that's another conversation that we've had. Is there any conversation that the senators representing the states need to have with their governors so that they can also have this conversation with their fellow lawmakers in the Houses of Assembly? Because as you said, if it is the governors that are the ones, throwing the cog in the wheel, perhaps there is need to have a sit down with them, the senators to sit down with their governors on why this is important, and the same communicated to the members of the Houses of Assembly of the various states. Do you think that is something that should be considered?
Yes, I think you're right. There is need to have that conversation, not only with the senators, but also with the executive arm of government, with the federal government. There is need for the president and the governors to sit together, and also, of course, with the National Assembly, so that we look at this holistically and see how we can make the local governments function. So, but of course, like I said, if once we get the buy-in of the governors, and I think they will, the local governments will do very well.
Well,
so
sometimes
the conversation is required by the governors, the National Assembly, as well as the executive arm of government. We need to sit down and look at it holistically, because, like you said, it has been on for a very long time. So, and it has been, of course, discovered that the major challenge is the need, for the local governments to have that autonomy. And I think if that is done, it will go a long way, hopefully, to ensure that most of the security challenges we are facing, will be dealt with squarely.
Yeah. You know, Senator, sometimes some people find it very difficult to believe that the security agencies, with all of the trainings and all of the intelligence that they have and all of the skills and capacity they have to deliver, it's difficult for some people to believe that these issues are intractable. And I happen to be one of those people who have confidence in our security apparatus in the country, the security operatives in the country. Whether the strategy is right or not, that's another thing. I say that because in 2021, for instance, then Governor Matawale of Zamfara State said, and I quote, when the children were abducted from his state at the time, he said that they were making effort while the state was in negotiation with abductors for the release of the schoolgirls. Other persons offered money to the armed bandits to keep the girls in captivity. This was in 2021, and the abduction was for 279 students from Jangebe, from Government Girls Secondary School in Jangebe. That's not the only time we've had such a comment from a top executive in government. We've also had situations where even the Minister of Solid Minerals today said that there are some powerful Nigerians who are behind some of this insecurity, particularly those connected to illegal minings. We've also had situations where even the governor of Kaduna State at some point said there is a lack of collaboration of sorts among the governors in the Northwest, which also informed some form of illegal activity, insecurity issues coming up. We have this information, we have this intelligence. Are they not actionable? Is it that these people that were mentioned, for instance, by the Governor Matawale at the time, who is today Minister of State in charge of Defense, are they not actionable intelligence? Are these people too powerful for the Senate to invite?
Well, first of all, I would say please continue to have confidence in our security agencies, because our security agencies are doing their best, in the face of, very lean resources that they have. And this is one area that in the Senate today we're looking at on the need, to get them out of the envelope budget. Because unless you fund your security, then you cannot have security. You need to know that the Nigerian army, as it is today, to my mind, is the most resilient army in the whole world. If you know the challenges the army is facing, you will know that, yes, you'll be proud of the army that you have. So moving forward, the intelligence you are talking about regarding those that are powerful, I don't think the Senate has the names of those people. And if they do, obviously, definitely, the Senate will invite them. So, but these are things that have to do with intelligence. And when you say you accuse somebody of something, you have to have your facts, before you prosecute him. I think one of the major things in this country that we need to focus on also is the issue of quick dispensation of justice. The moment we start doing that, you'll discover that most of the security challenges we're having will go away. So people like that have been mentioned by, like you said, the former governor of Zamfara State, if he had provided, facts and figures to the security agencies, I'm sure they will invite them, interrogate them, and find if they are culpable, and they will prosecute them. So I think the most important thing is having the facts, so that you don't have someone, being unjustly treated.
So, Senator, as you wind down on this one, we're going back in time to your late brother, God bless his soul. So it's a matter that not many have had a chance to even actually talk about in terms of what transpired after all that hoopla. Perhaps you should talk to us. What was the thinking of the family about how the country approached the entire matter?
Well, this is something sometimes that gets me emotional. The late president of blessed memory, I was one of those who nursed him throughout his sojourn in Saudi Arabia. And while I was there, every morning we go out to check, we Google the newspapers in Nigeria to find out what is happening. So in one of such occasions, I saw around December 2009, I saw, the issues coming up about him not transferring power. So I was very disturbed because I know the late president. I grew under him, and I can tell you, in our family, I was the closest to him. So I got disturbed knowing the kind of person that he is, that he left the country without transferring power to the former president. And eventually my findings was that, yes, he did. He wrote a letter. But of course I was in the army. It wasn't my purview to, to come out to the press to say something like that. So, but definitely he did transmit a letter to transfer power. And I'll tell you one thing. When the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, when he was acting president, you remember he sent a team of ministers and the then secretary to the government of the federation to visit the president in Saudi Arabia. And it was decided that we should bring this president back so that whatever is going to happen in terms of negotiation, knowing his condition, it should happen in Nigeria and not in another country. While we were preparing to bring him back, of course we didn't tell him we were coming back, but he called me. He said, Abdulaziz, I heard you want to bring me back to Nigeria. So I kept quiet. Myself and his personal physician, he looked at us and said, but even a madman knows I cannot work. So we all kept quiet. Just to relate to you the issue of him transferring power. So I believed if he hadn't done that, he shouldn't be saying this to me while we were bringing him back. So, but in our own way, as a family, we did our best to see how, the challenge could be solved. But for me, as a military man serving, it was beyond me. So what happened, happened. So I think it is important for the nation to know this. And I think it is important also for you, the media, to try sometimes to do investigative journalism, to try to get to the root of certain matters that we leave, we just sweep in the carpet, under the carpet. This type of things, rubbishes somebody's legacy. Every Nigerian knows who the late president of blessed memory was. And those of us who are very close to him know that he wouldn't dare do such a thing.
So he wrote a letter, but what happened to it?
Well, I don't know. I think that is something you need to do. Even though time has been, time has passed, but I don't know what happened. But I'm telling you, for sure I did my investigation and discovered that yes, he did indeed transmitted a letter to his friend and brother, former President Goodluck Jonathan.
We want to thank you for coming on. That's how far we can go this morning. Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua, Chairman, Senate Committee on Army and Chairman, Northern Senators Forum. Again, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Senator.